Good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin with a reading from Whispers from Eternity. And this is one that we have heard perhaps many times, but it's one to keep close to our hearts and truly reflects the truth of today's topic, entitled, I Was Made for Thee. So feel that we're offering these words to our Guru, to Divine Mother. I was made for thee alone. I was made for dropping flowers of devotion gently at thy feet on the altar of the morning. My hands were made to serve thee willingly, to remain folded in adoration, waiting for thy coming, and when thou comest to bathe thy feet with my tears. My voice was made to sing thy glory. My feet were made to seek thy temples everywhere. My eyes were made a chalice to hold thy burning love, in the wisdom falling from thy nature's hands. My ears were made to catch the music of thy footsteps echoing through the halls of space, and to hear thy divine melodies echoing through the halls of space, flowing through all heart tracks of devotion. My lips were made to breathe forth thy praises and thine intoxicating inspirations. My love was made to throw incandescent searchlight flames to find thee hidden in the forest of my desires. My heart was made to respond to thy call alone. My soul was made to be the channel through which thy love might flow uninterruptedly into all thirsty souls. So what a wonderful topic today, the inner kingdom. You know, just to begin, I wanted to share that the invitation really every week that we come together is to be reminded that we have this inner kingdom, and you know, we don't have to continue to dwell in the slums when we have this golden palace just with our name on it waiting for us to return and to stay in this place. And you know, I was thinking more and more that our lives, what distracts us from this remembrance? Well, if we just look around, it's so easy to get distracted with so many duties that we have every day, with taking care of the body, and just that alone, you know, there's, depending on how you take care of the body, the list can get quite long. And of course, we're taught to live simply so that it doesn't take all that much time and energy, but we have to care for the body. We have to feed ourselves, all of these things. It's a long list. But our Guru said something important, that indeed we have to honor one's true duty. But the true teachings and a true teacher will never teach you to neglect any of these important true duties in our life. Rather, it teaches about balance. And of course, one could say the true balance in our lives as yogis is to make sure that we are honoring the need for seclusion, for some time that we withdraw from the material world and begin that inner journey to dwell in that inner kingdom. And when one is trying to understand, well, what is a true duty in my life in which I need to honor? Well, our Guru said that one true duty should never contradict another. So for example, if you're seeking to find prosperity in your life, if that contradicts the duty of your health, then it's not a true duty. And our Guru said so joyfully, he said, what good is it of keeping a healthy, wonderful body if it's housing a peanut brain? So we have to develop all of these areas in our life. It's important. And so we want to develop and honor the duties that are before us, to develop the body, to develop the mind, and of course to develop that inward journey toward the soul. And on this journey, we have to always remember to commit ourselves to remembering inner communion. Because our guru said that it's so hard to lose that contact with God if we're not actively daily having that inner communion with God. Of course, this is why he recommended our daily sadhana. But what happens is we get up from our sadhana, we move on throughout our day, and we can easily forget. So I wanted to share a story of this family man living in a small village in India. His name was Bholanath. And he was reading the Gita one night, and he read this passage that Sagar read in the Gita, that, greater than the aesthetic, greater than the man with wisdom, greater than the man of action, Arjuna, be thou a yogi. And he was inspired by this. So the next morning he woke, he made an announcement to his family. And he said to them, I am now a yogi. I'm no longer known as Bholanath. Call me Yogi-ji. And I am greater than knowledge. I'm greater than the aesthetics. I'm greater than those men of action. I'm a yogi. And so he wrapped a turban on his head and got a loincloth, and he left his house in the backyard and sat under the mango tree in meditation, keeping his eyes half open, looking if people were seeing him, embracing this great life of being a yogi. And so as time passed, he thought, for a yogi, I don't need any service to my home. I don't have to do any more chores in the house or clean the cowshed. The yogi cleans his consciousness. And I don't need food because I'm living off of prana, of fresh air. And so he continues on with his meditation. But what happened, of course, as he was trying to meditate all day, he was mostly falling asleep and snoring. And so the villagers going by asked, is that an enlightened yogi? And they said, oh, no, he's just unemployed. And then finally one day a great yogi, an enlightened soul, came into the village and came before this great yogi, trying to live the life to its fullest. So the ancient sage asked him, so I see you're practicing yoga. And he said, oh yes. He was declaring his greatness to this soul. And he said, oh, so how's it going? How do you react when your wife comes out of your house yelling at you for not doing the house chores? What do? He said, oh, well, I run and I hide behind the cowshed. Oh, okay. And then so what happens then when all these people come to you and they start to, point fun at you of just because you start saying you're falling asleep and all these. How do you feel when they come and they poke fun of you? He said, oh, I get this inner fire. I just want to slap them when they come. And so you can see where the story is going. And of course, the teaching of this great sage enlightened him of saying that better to be in the home, to be a father to your children, but to seek that balance of spending your time in the morning and the evening meditating, seeing every action as a way of serving God, that you don't have to leave that inner sanctuary, but rather embracing what God has given you is how you're going to find God. And so for all of us in our life, it's a fun story, but it helped me remember that as we move forth to fulfill all of these duties that God has given us, we don't neglect them and escape. That's not going to lead us toward greater enlightenment, but rather seeing that opportunity each day to withdraw the energy into the spine in communing with God in whatever way that you're feeling inspired. But then at the same time, seeing all of the duties that are given to you each day as a gift from God, as an invitation to offer ourselves fully to that experience of God as the doer. And as we practice this every day, we begin to strengthen that spiritual awareness that God is dreaming through us, God is acting through us, and we never have to leave that place of inner joy. And that's one of the signs that, as we were chanting before service and what we did a little bit today is that, the great ones come to remind us that God is joy. And this inner kingdom is joy. We know the story of our guru when he went to Sri Yukteswar asking, when will I find God? When will I find God? And of course, Sri Yukteswar says, do you feel joy in meditation? And our guru said, yes, I do. He said, you have God. God is that joy in meditation. So even if it's a little bubble of that joy that we're experiencing, to feel, rejoice in that experience, go deeper in that. But it is joy that is that reflection of the inner kingdom. And we're so blessed to be in community, to be around great souls who are emanating, reflecting outwardly this presence of the inner kingdom. I remember when I first came to Ananda, I have to say this was the first point of recognition that this is my path and that God is real. Was at Ananda, Rhode Island. It was a very simple occurrence, but it was after Sunday service. We had a great soul as a minister, Ram, as our minister there. And he was a great example of just a beautiful reflection of this inner kingdom. And so the task that day was to just go try to start a small garden in the back of our center in Rhode Island. And so Ram and maybe 4 or 5 other devotees, we gathered together, and we went outside to start to cut the grass and start to turn the soil. And I remember when I was, doing my duty of whatever it was in the garden, I remember I stopped because I was overwhelmed with seeing how much joy Ram had for, he was hoeing the land and, planting some seeds, but the joy he had, it wasn't a joy that, oh, good, I have all this help to make this garden. It was a joy born of this awareness of God within. And it was just permeating all of us that day. And I remember that stuck with me, that here we are, just this small little garden. We didn't really even harvest much food from the garden because we didn't plant that much, but it was a true lesson, that reminder that no matter what we're doing, when we are in joy, we are dwelling in that inner kingdom. And one of the things that I also was touched in the beginning of coming to Ananda and continue to be inspired by is Swami Kriyananda's smile. I'm sure he's smiling over there. But I was watching a video just a few days ago. It was a satsang that Swamiji gave in Palo Alto many years ago. And it was an informal satsang. So he was laughing a lot and telling a lot of jokes. I'd recommend searching for it. If you search Swamiji in Palo Alto, I'm sure you'll find it. But his smile, is so beautiful. It is contagious. And I was thinking, when I first met Swamiji, he was the most beautiful human being I had ever met. And, I was wondering, well, is he that good looking? Is that why, I see him in this way? And after trying to understand this, he wasn't bad looking, but, he wasn't a model. But that smile was the purest reflection of God's joy, God's love. And even if you were in the vicinity of his presence, one would feel that their own inner smile would begin to grow and expand, because that's the power of dwelling in this inner kingdom. And so for all of us in our life, Swamiji dropped the body in 2013, but he's still very much with us. but to feel that smile, in our own hearts and for our own selves, even when we're going through times of tests and trials, to remember to smile, but not just as this way of smiling outwardly to put on a show, but to feel as we open ourselves to that possibility that joy is within, and we seek it daily, then we'll begin to live more and more from that place. But one of the things of how we truly can cultivate this inner joy, to dwell in this place of the inner kingdom, is indeed to cultivate an inner life. There's no other way that we can go about this. And because the essence of the teachings, the science of yoga, is that as long as our energy is going down the spine and activated and engrossed in the material world through the senses, then we're unable to dwell in that experience of God within. And so the yogi, the whole simple practice of yoga, is to withdraw the energy into the spine and to lift it upwards to the kartashta, to the third eye, to the spiritual eye at the forehead. And as we do everything we can to live in that flow, then we'll feel more and more in that experience of the inner kingdom. But cultivating an inner life is essential for us, because it is through our using our willpower, making the choice. It is a choice to say, okay, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to withdraw into the inner cave, and I'm going to seek God within. And when we do this, the power of God begins to also draw us closer. We have, Sagar and I teach online, and we find many students who will ask the natural question after they learn the Hong Sa technique of concentration. They will ask, okay, so can we practice this all day long if we wanted to? And of course, yes, please, yes, you can do so. And, whether they're actually practicing Hong Sa all day or not, I'm inspired by that, because in many ways we can all be practicing Hong Sa all throughout the day, which is that we're always watching, where is our mind, where is our energy, where is our consciousness, and always choosing, as soon as we see it starting to veer, that we choose to bring it back. And that's the power and success of Hong Sa, is when we're watching the breath. As soon as that we notice that the mind begins to wander, we choose to bring it back. And so this is something that we can all begin to embrace throughout our day. And whether it's the formal practice of even inwardly affirming, I am spirit, or Hong Sa, or Om Guru, but whatever is needed to bring ourselves back. And the more we choose to bring ourselves back, the more that we'll gain that strength and power to remain there. I wanted to share also with Swami Kriyananda, which I felt very inspired and thought was very helpful, is in Meditations for Starters. Swamiji recommended of how to dwell in this inner kingdom of remaining inward is to find rest points throughout your day. Because we don't want to drown our awareness in the restless, endless activity and outward engagements. And so finding these rest points, naturally they exist in between the breath. So as the inhalation transitions into the exhalation and vice versa, there is that pause. And in our Hong Sa practice, we're taught to focus on those pauses. And so for our daily life, to find those pauses, it may be watching the breath and concentrating and dwelling in that pause. It may be a pause between activity, or it may be a transition of activities or thoughts that we're doing. But to really stop and feel yourself becoming ever increasingly present in the moment, and then lift your thoughts, lift your energy up to God. This can be very helpful. And we're not alone in this journey. Paramhansa Yogananda told a story that in the earlier days when he was very busy with expanding the work here in America, he said there was a stretch of about 7 months that he was teaching, several classes a day, meeting with people, writing. I mean, he said he didn't have a minute free. And he then prayed to God. He said, "What is this? What are you doing?" And he said, I'm ready to leave all of this. I'm ready to leave these classes. I'm ready to leave this work if it means that I'm able to be with you. Because he was finding there was times throughout the day that he would lose sight of God. Now, of course, we know that Yogananda was doing this as a way of educating all of us, but he prayed fervently with that deep desire to say, I will walk away right now if it means that I will be able to be with you always. And I wanted to read to you how God responded, because our Guru said he prayed until he said his mind would burst. So there was a deep, dedicated prayer. And this is the words that God spoke to our Guru. The Lord said, when you are not meditating, isn't it true that in your thoughts you are missing me? In thinking about meditating? When you meditate, you thought of me. And when you didn't meditate, you missed me. Therefore, the thought of me was always predominant. And so, for us to really feel that in our life, that we don't necessarily have to wait until we feel that we're able to dwell in the perfected light of living life as a yogi, for then we will begin to strive to keep the company of God throughout the day in our minds and our hearts. But even in the process of, even throughout the day, feeling that we're missing God, even if we veer far, far away, but if we, even in that thought and feeling, I miss God, I've gone a little too far here, but know even in that God is with us and that we are with God. There was a story of our Guru when he went back to India in 1935. He brought with him a devotee here in America. His name was Richard Wright. And what a blessing it was for Richard to be with our Guru through that time in India, where Guruji was very busy, of course, with family and friends, but also trying to spread the work throughout India. And there was this one day that Sananda Laghosh was with our Guru, and they went to visit Swami Yukteswar in Serampore to be with Yukteswarji for the day. And so they were alone. Richard Wright stayed back in Calcutta. So once Guruji and Sananda came back to Calcutta, Guruji said, "Where's Richard? Where's Richard?" And they said, "Oh, he went to the carnival." And our Guru kind of was like, "Well, why? What? He went to the carnival?" So he purchased tickets to there were many carnivals at the time in Calcutta, so he bought tickets to all the different carnivals and said, "Go find him." So Sananda went off and went to all these carnivals to try to find Richard and said, "You have to come back. Guruji's looking for you." So when when Sananda retrieved Richard Wright came back, and our Guru scolded him. And he said to him, "You will spoil the work that I'm trying to do while we are here in India. I need you here when I need you." And then he went on dictating to Richard. And I read that recently, and it inspired me, because we often think that we need the Guru. And yes, of course, we do need the Guru. But the Guru needs us. And the more that we are inwardly withdrawn, in that we're in that focused, devotional, open place, just as we do with the purification ceremony. The Guru says, open your heart to me and I will enter and take charge of your life. So as we dwell in that space and we open ourselves and that we are in that inner communion with the Guru, then he's able to work with us in an ever increasingly more powerful way. And so let's remember that throughout the day, that the Guru is asking for us to be present with him. I wanted to close with this message, prayer from our Guru, that feel that these words are God responding to you, to your heart. So our Guru writes, I may play for a little while, but always from the inner refuge of my silence. I behold the unfolding script of life with the calm joy of immortality. If through practice of meditation one keeps knocking on the doors of silence, God will respond and say, come in. I whispered to you through all guises of nature, and now I say to you, I am joy, the living fountain of joy. Bathe in my waters, wash away your habits, cleanse yourself of fears. I dreamed a beautiful dream for you, but, my child, you made it a nightmare. God wants his children to be no longer prodigal sons, but to play their roles in life as immortals, that when they leave the stage of this earth, they can say, Father, that was a nice entertainment, but now I am ready to come home.
In India there lived by the banks of a stream a hermit whose prayers chose applause for their theme. He gazed at the flowers and he smiled at the sun. Then he clapped with delight, Lord, he cried, oh, well done.
Well done, Lord, oh, very well done. The mountains have laughed with the gypsy clouds. The fields smile to welcome the sun. All nature sings praises aloud. The fields smile to welcome the sun. All nature sings praises